begin with the top stories of this hour. Legislative Parliament meeting postponed until today as disputes arise over the replacement bill on National Medical Education Ordinance. Eminent Persons Group to submit joint report comprising suggestions including the revision of the 1950 Peace and Friendship Treaty to the respective Prime Ministers. At least 19 people killed in a suicide bombing in the eastern Afghan city of Jalalabad, most of them members of the country's Sikh minority. And Russia and Croatia make it to the quarter-finals of the FIFA World Cup. Russia defeats Spain 4-3 and Croatia get better off Denmark 3-2 in penalty shootouts. Let's begin with the national political updates. The Legislative Parliament meeting has been postponed until today after disputes arose yesterday regarding the National Medical Education Bill. As the government put forward the replacement bill for the Medical Education Ordinance, the issue was included in yesterday's work list. After the main opposition, Nepali Congress exhibited protest, citing that the new bill had been put forward against the main essence. The meeting had been postponed until today. In protest of the replacement bill put forward by the government for the Medical Education Ordinance, Dr. Govinda Kesi has begun a hunger strike. The government had planned to endorse the bill to replace the National Medical Education Ordinance at any cost yesterday itself from the Parliament. However, due to the protest launched by the main opposition, Nepali Congress, the House has been adjourned until today. If the National Medical Education Bill is not endorsed by the 4th of July, the ordinance on the bill will be automatically suspended. Citing this, the government is adamant on endorsing the replacement bill without holding necessary discussion. Speaker Krishna Bahadur Mahara had planned 3 sessions yesterday to endorse the replacement bill. This led to the main opposition Nepali Congress issuing the warning that they would not allow the Parliament to operate if the government tried to forcefully endorse the replacement bill. The replacement bill has provisioned the opening of medical colleges in the capital, which is against the provisions cited by the ordinance. Political analysts are saying that government is showing its autocratic behavior not only by keeping clauses contradictory to the ordinance, but by also bypassing the parliamentary proceedings. The NepalIndia Eminent Persons Group EPG is preparing to submit its joint report to the Prime Ministers of both the countries. The report is to consist of suggestions including the revision of the Peace and Friendship Treaty forced between Nepal and India in 1950. The report has been prepared based on the 9-point meetings of the representatives of both the sides during the group's 2-year tenure. The EPG meetings basically dwelled on the bilateral treaties and problems between Nepal and India before coming up with a report. At this juncture, speculations are also rife over the future of past agreements in this regard. According to Foreign Affairs expert Dr. Bais Bahadur Thapa, some of the agreements between Nepal and India are relevant and useful to this date, while some are irrelevant and counterproductive. Thapa said that EPG involving representatives of both the nations has agreed on the report to thoroughly analyze all inappropriate treaties, ranging from border issues, water and transit, among others. He said the report would be moved forward for implementation after being submitted to the Prime Ministers of both the countries in due course. Foreign Affairs expert Thapa added that the report's major objective was to emphasize on the basis of equality between the two sovereign nations and to do away with all kinds of suspicions regarding the bilateral treaties. He said that although the past treaties talked about open border, it has not been the same in practice. Thapa said that the EPG's advice was to recognizing new scientific methods to weigh on all the pros and cons of the agreements and move forward based on the same. When questioned how easy would it be to end all sorts of imbalance related to the bilateral agreements, Thapa said that coming up with a joint report by both the sides was in itself an extraordinary achievement, realizing the need to revise and improve the past agreements and the implementation aspects so as to live up with the long-term interests of both Nepal and India. And time now for a short break. For more news, do stay with us. Welcome back after the break. Yesterday, we asked the residents of Pokhara, Butwal and Kathmandu what's their take on the government's imposing the medical education bill contrary to the agreement forged with protesting Dr. Govinda Kesi in this regard. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
सरकारले सम्झौता गरेको विधेयकलाई उल्टाएर ल्याउन खोज्नुको यो बडो डरलाग्दो परिस्थिति, यो बडो आश्चर्यजनक छ। यहाँ केही चलखेलहरू पक्कै छन् भन्ने हामीलाई पनि लाग्छ र यो चलखेल रोक्नै पर्छ।
केसीको भन्दा पनि जनताको पछि हुनु पर्यो अथवा चाहिँ सबै जनतालाई चाहिँ सर्वसुलभ चाहिँ चिकित्सा शिक्षक हुनु पर्यो भने मेरो चाहिँ आफ्नो चाहिँ भनाइ छ।
गोविन्द केसीको माग जनताको निम्ति ठिक छ र उनको विरुद्धमा माग चाहिँ लिएर भनौँ न त्यो कानुन बनाउनु अथवा विधेयक ल्याउनु जनताको निम्ति घाटा हो।
राज्य सञ्चालन गर्ने सरकारको जिम्मा हो, व्यक्तिले राज्य चलाउन खोज्नु हुँदैन।
यो विधेयक नल्याएर पहिलेकै गरे भए चाहिँ जनताले पढ्न, जो गरिबहरूले पनि पढ्न पाउँथ्यो होला।
जनताका छोराछोरी पनि पढ्न पाउन्, आम जनताका छोराछोरी पनि त्यो ठाउँमा पुग्न पाउन् भन्ने उद्देश्यले सबै हाम्रा अग्रजहरूलाई, नेतागणहरूलाई म आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु अझै यसलाई विशेष छलफल गरे मात्रै पारित होस्।
आफ्नो व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थका लागि केही गर्नुभएको छैन र समाजका गरिब किसानहरूले, गरिबका छोराछोरीले पनि पढ्न पाउन् भन्ने जुन उहाँको अवधारणा छ त्यो ज्यादै महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरो छ।
The government usually collects revenues and royalties and spends it following the approval from the parliament. Interestingly, the government has given permission to some organizations to collect revenues and royalties and spend the money by themselves. The Federation of Nepalese Chamber of Commerce and Industries FNCCI along with the Confederation of Nepalese Industries CNI have been entrusted to authenticate that goods to be exported are made in Nepal. CNI had waged a movement to get the authority, which only rested with FNCCI since 1966. The main reason for waging the movement was the fact that these organizations could obtain revenue for providing certificates to the exported goods. The two organizations collect around 50 million rupees on an annual basis and spend the money to their liking. Likewise, the Federation of Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Association has been authorized to fix the prices of gold and silver. The Bankers Association distributes the provision of importing gold among its members. There is a long list of such anomalies as the Nepal Mountaineering Association collects royalties of 15 mountains and spends the amount on its own. Likewise, the Trekking Agency Association of Nepal TAN also receives 30% of the collected amount garnered through trekking revenues. Calls have now been raised from different quarters to do away with this existing provision. It's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, why has the government's free health service not reached poor and needy population? And options are A, clever, have their say. The B, procedural, hassles, and C, lack of awareness. The voting is on. Type any request, select the option A, B, or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And before we wrap up, a reminder of the top stories. Legislative Parliament meeting postponed until today as disputes arise over the replacement bill on National Medical Education Ordinance. Eminent Persons Group to submit joint report comprising suggestions including the revision of the 1950 Peace and Friendship Treaty to the respective Prime Ministers of Nepal and India. At least 19 people killed in a suicide bombing in the eastern Afghan city of Jalalabad, most of them members of the country's Sikh minority. And Russia and Croatia make it to the quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup. Russia defeats Spain 4-3 and Croatia get better off Denmark 3-2 in penalty shootouts. And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur TV SD for more news, entertainment and updates on FIFA World Cup. Goodbye for now.